Welcome to This Week in Health IT. My name is Bill Russell, Healthcare CIO Coach and creator of This Week in Health IT, a set of podcasts, videos, and collaboration events dedicated to developing the next generation of health leaders. This episode and every episode since we started the COVID-19 series has been sponsored by Sirius Healthcare. Now we are exiting the series, but Sirius has stepped up to be a weekly sponsor of the show through the end of the year. Special thanks to Sirius for supporting the show's efforts during the crisis and beyond. Clip Notes is available. Clip Notes is live. If you can't listen to every show, but you want to know who was on the show and what was said, then sign up for Clip Notes. One paragraph summary, key moments in bullet point format with timestamps, and 1 to 4 video clips from the show. It's a great way to stay current, share insights with your team. You can just forward the email on to somebody, and also maintain your commitment to developing your staff during these extraordinary times. You can sign up on any page on the website, thisweekinhealthit.com, or send a note to clipnotes@thisweekinhealthit.com, and it will kick off an automated workflow to get you signed up. You know, our mission at This Week in Health IT is really twofold. To amplify great thinking, to propel healthcare forward is our core mission. We also started off as and continue to really focus in on what we can do to develop the next generation of health IT leaders. For the first 180 episodes, we did the show with no outside financial support. That changed in the fall of last year. We made a conscious decision to find sponsors who shared our vision, sponsors who would help fund the growth and development of the show with new offerings and content. We have a great group of founding channel sponsors and have since opened up individual show sponsors. This is where we go in depth with a company or a solution and ask questions as if I were sitting across the table with them as the CIO vetting their solution. We only do these shows with organizations that I feel comfortable with once I've done an initial interview with them. If you're wondering, we have turned down a couple following those initial conversations because I didn't really feel all that comfortable recommending them to you. So there is a vetting process for this. I have a few of these over the next couple of weeks where I've been looking for specific kinds of solutions that I think will be relevant to you and your organization during the current environment of the pandemic and really post-pandemic over the next year or so. Today's show is with Pure Storage and Sectra PACS. I've always been a fan of Pure Storage, and to be honest with you, that comes out a little bit in the interview. They start off as a SSD, a solid-state storage solution, but they're really software-based, and they've created what I think is an exceptional solution, an exceptional business model. Sectra is a best-in-class PACS solution, 7 years running. I'm impressed with both solutions, and I think how they have creatively partnered together for a client, University Health Systems out of Cleveland, who have been on the show before. They've done an exceptional job here of partnering, and we cover that a little bit in the show as well. So here is a solution showcase episode I hope you enjoy. Today I'm joined by Mark Dobbs with Pure Storage and Tom Facenta with Sectra, a best-in-class PACS solution for the last 7 years. No small accomplishment. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the show.
Morning, Bill.
Nice to be here, Bill.
I'm excited about this conversation. I find that what you guys have done together to be really interesting, and we're going to get to that towards the middle of the show. But I also find what the two organizations have done individually to be really fascinating as well. And I'm talking a lot on this show about platforms, about software defined, about the benefits that brings to the company, to a healthcare organization. So that's really where I'd like to start. So Mark, I'm going to start with Pure. And really, I'd like to dig in a little bit on your solution. And then Tom, I'd like to dig in on the Sectra solution, the PACS solution, and then talk about how you guys creatively came together for a client and created what I think is a pretty neat win-win, actually win-win-win, I guess, for everybody. So Mark, let's start with Pure. Back when I was CIO, Pure was a up-and-coming SSD player, but you guys have evolved away from a hardware company into a software company. Can you talk a little bit about why Pure defines themselves as a software company and how that benefits healthcare?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good place to start. And I would almost kind of reverse those, Bill. We talked a little bit about the history of how Pure started, and we are a storage company, so that is the vehicle in which we produce product, right? But we've built our platform in two main core pillars, right, which is the software side of the house, and then obviously the hardware. They've got to be kind of interconnected in a way that whatever we do on the software layer doesn't impact hardware and vice versa. So Pure actually, if you think about it and you peel back the layers of the onion, you'll see that we are a software company under the hood. As you mentioned, we started that way. That was the vision. We knew that there were unreliable things, and we knew that there were things in the market that people maybe just grew to accept in the storage, realm. And we decided to do things better, and that started with software. So that's kind of how Pure started, is we built a different user interface and took control of your everyday off-the-shelf solid-state drives, right? And we turned that into an experience which strips away all the complexity there. As we evolved over time, we actually then also decided to design hardware that completely complements our software. So now we take control of the full entire storage, environment. Our own products now have our own software, our own hardware, and the net result for that, Bill, is, a really, really solid product that gives a great customer experience.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, as a CIO, I just remember I had a team of people sitting over there. We had 3 or 4 different storage solutions. They each were very complex, had their own interfaces. We had to take periodic outages in order to do updates. This is what fascinated me about a platform like Pure and how you guys have evolved. Is you guys have that whole concept of experience. So the interface, it starts with the interface, right? The installation instructions are easy, non-disruptive updates. I mean, all that stuff is sort of built into the experience from the core, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, as a consumer, and maybe this is a wink to the future of where Pure's going, to our CEO, but if we as a consumer could buy Pure Storage for everything we do in life, I think everybody'd be happier in general, because the experience, like you said, is that this is really the last investment in storage you ever need to buy. And people probably don't think of storage as a thing to enable, future innovation and something that people would kind of turn to help, bring a technology discussion to light. But you're absolutely right, Bill. We basically have flipped the script on how the market was built. We've disrupted the market, the storage industry, to the point where now everybody is looking to chase that same business model that we've developed. And so, it's the experience that if you and I could buy a phone and for once just have it generationally upgrade in the middle of a phone call, and we've got the latest and greatest, that's the kind of Pure experience that our customers see. So you're never a laggard, you're never rebuying things ever again. And for us in healthcare, a lot of the value our customers are seeing, Bill, comes by way of the innovation on the software and hardware side, right? As we talked about earlier, they're seeing things like no downtime. And when we do upgrades on physical hardware, there's no downtime, right? And that's a clutch thing that we need to deliver to healthcare, because we can't afford downtime in the healthcare space, especially in my domain of imaging that Tom and I, play in.
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing thing to me. I mean, non-disruptive updates. You talk about this evergreen business model, and I went in and researched it a little bit last night. Essentially, it's the integration of the software and hardware, and it gives you the ability to do that. Essentially, it's one investment. But you were telling me the story yesterday as we were preparing for this, that you guys did an update to the software, and all of a sudden people ended up with more storage, and then people called and said, "Hey, what's wrong with my system? I ended up with more storage." All of a sudden, it's like, well, we enhanced the software, and here's a gift, more storage for you.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. A storage company that gave customers back more storage. It's a really cool story, but it's true. We designed back to the software complement, right? Our software was enhanced. We released a non-disruptive upgrade. Our customers pull it down, like you said, Bill, and overnight, the average customer sees back another 20, 25% capacity back, which can kind of cause a panic, right? Because it's like, did I lose data? And no, actually, you bought just the right storage solution. So we're actually just trying to help you and squeeze more, blood from a turnip there. So it's really cool. That's part of the reasons why I came here, right? It's just, as a customer, I would love that. And so we deliver stuff like that frequently to our customers on both, and same with the hardware, right? We're always leading the edge for like what new technology is in the storage market, instead of it being like this top shelf thing that we don't want to budget for. We just give it to our customers, right? So if you started with Pure, you're going to stay innovative the entire, length of your relationship with us.
All right, Tom, I want to kick it over to Sectra. And I'll be honest, I'm not as familiar. When I was at St. Joe's in Orange County, we utilized many PACS systems, which is kind of painful, but Sectra wasn't one of them. So help me to understand, you guys are best in class for the last 7 years. How do you do that? What makes you guys, what's the distinction?
Yeah. So thanks, Bill. So yeah, Sectra for a lot of people wasn't very familiar. So, just real briefly, the background of Sectra is we're a Swedish company based in a small college town a couple hours from Stockholm. And Sectra had partnered with Philips in the late 90s to provide our PACS solution to Philips. So that's kind of how we had started. So, Philips was really the front end distributor to Sectra. And then in 2005, Philips had split with us, kind of went in another direction, actually made a purchase of Stentor, became Philips's PACS system. And Sectra pretty much went on our own in 2005. A small company, but that had some nice installations through Philips. So Sectra has grown really since then. And I would say a few things, Bill, as far as the key to our success since then. Because at the time in 2005, there wasn't really any guarantee that, we were going to be successful after that split. But as you say, we've won the KLAS award for 7 years. We've really picked up some great academic medical centers and institutions. Some of the most prestigious hospitals in the U.S. now have moved over to Sectra. And what we focus in on really is the customer. They say customer obsession. And the key to that, I think, is first and foremost having good software that's stable, software that's reliable, and that performs. And most of our customers say the downtime that they've had from Sectra is almost negligible. I mean, the system really does stay up, and we focus in on that. In addition to that, kind of a key thing and something that we're very proud of is that we describe ourselves as future-proof and taking our customers into the future without making them change platforms. A lot of these companies over the years, and you can name GE, Philips, Carestream, whomever, have moved from one software platform to the next, and that really is basically a forklift upgrade for the customer. With Sectra, we've started our customers on version 2, and now we're up to version 22.1 without a platform change, without data migration. So the customers really appreciate that we keep them current without disruption, providing them really excellent performance with solid reliability. And then we listen to these customers. Oftentimes they have unique situations that call for creative solutions. We've got some great engineers, and really it's kind of a fun place to work because you have these good, happy customers. We listen to them, move them forward, and it's been a great experience over the years for me.
Well, and that's where we're going to end up. But I want to ask you a few more. This is CIO kicking in me. So you guys had the full suite, right? So it's cardiology, radiology, all the way through VNA. I mean, you have the full suite of solution.
Yeah, that would be true, Bill. And then one big thing that's kind of up and coming is we now have an FDA-approved digital pathology system. So not only do we offer radiology, VNA, PACS solutions, but we also have digital pathology. That's also integrated into radiology. So we can, for instance, Bill, for Tumor Board, we can display the radiology images side by side with the pathology images, which there's a lot of value to it. We really see digital pathology as a market that's growing as well.
Yeah, so you guys have two solid solutions, a PACS solution and a state-of-the-art storage solution. But one of the things that fascinated me, and the reason I wanted to talk with you guys is I coach CIOs, and we have a lot of listeners that are saying, what does it look like over the next year? And we're talking a lot about creative partnerships with your vendors. We're talking a lot about ROI models that make sense. We're talking a lot about platforms that you don't have to continue to upgrade and you don't get into this vicious cycle. And you guys really had a lot of all of that. So, but specifically, we're going to talk about one of your clients. So one of your clients came to you with a request that you guys creatively came together to try to solve. So I don't know who wants to take this question, but give us a little background on the request and how this thing sort of came about, and then we'll get into what you guys did to solve the problem.
Yeah, Mark, maybe you can take that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll start, Tom, and Bill, to your point, so the customer we're talking about is actually in the hometown where Tom lives or nearby. It's UH Health, very large operation, high growth, and they're a customer that's kind of already been on the cutting edge. They've been a Pure customer for a long time. They work with our local partner for a long time, which has been a great experience. And there was an opportunity that came up where we can extend the same good Pure experience they've had into the sector environment, right? So what Tom had just talked about. And so the opportunity there blossomed into, hey, how do we kind of cookie cutter and have the same kind of clinical impact we've experienced with our other systems running on Pure? How can we deliver that same experience into the sector environment and complement Sectra? And so we have, we've taken over the short-term storage, and soon we're working on going after the rest of the entire storage there to basically, like Tom said, prevent any future, upgrades on the sector side. They're focused on, customer obsessions, Bill, something you heard Tom say. We love that phrase. So, that's an important thing. And so we don't want to ever be a laggard in the chain of workflow, so that UH couldn't take one of those upgrades that Sector delivers, right? Or Tom had mentioned digital pathology, right? So if they're going to step into different workloads, which they're already doing, then let's enable them to do that and take away the boring, tedious task of planning for storage, to serve those new needs. And so UH has started their journey where they're now doing their, full imaging and starting with the short-term cache and the important stuff, right? The hot disk that affects clinical care, that's going to be mounted on Pure Storage. And thankfully, working alongside Tom and his team at Sectra and our partner, we made sure that it was a sound solution for the customer, right? So the net is it's a win-win-win, as you mentioned earlier, Bill.
Yeah, so reliability and high performance were the driver, but the client's also looking for the two of you, two distinct companies, to sort of represent the solution as a single solution. One phone call, one throat to choke, as they say. I mean, because that's their experience when things go down, and you have different companies. And I had this experience as well. You have somebody pointing over there saying, "Hey, it's the storage." Somebody pointing over there saying, "Hey, it's the network." Somebody pointing over there and saying, "No, it's the PACS software." But you guys have really come together to say, "No, we're going to act as one organization that's going to listen and respond appropriately to the challenge."
Yeah, and the key, I guess, for us is listening to the customer and where they want to go, and then being accommodating to try and deliver the right solution to them. So university hospitals came to us and just said, "Hey, you guys were very interested in going with Pure Storage to support Sectra." We did some actual testing with Pure to validate the performance with load times, what have you, to make sure for the customer we felt comfortable in recommending it and implementing it with the system. And it, performed, very well. And again, it's kind of a thing where the key is listening to your customer and delivering a solution that makes the most sense for them. And that's the type of partnership that we have with Pure at UH.
So what advice would you give? So CIO, CTO, even chief medical officer. So it's somebody who's looking to do this, and they're saying, "Well, gosh, I have a storage provider and I have a PACS provider. What kind of things would you coach them and say, hey, this is what you're looking for to bring these two organizations together?" And one of the things that struck me is you guys both have, and it's really evident on your websites, both have a company culture of aggressively listening to your clients and responding to their needs. And that almost brings your cultures together. But I think that would be one of the things I'm looking for from a CIO. It's one thing for two companies to come together and say, "Yeah, we'll put something on the same piece of paper so you can finance it this way," or whatever. But it's another when the system goes down or there's a challenge. Are the two organizations going to be compatible to be able to respond the way we want them to respond? What are some things you would say to a CIO? Hey, this is what you're looking for in these kinds of creative partnerships.
Yeah, maybe Tom, I can start and maybe you can layer on too. Is at the end of the day, I think for me, and if I was in a C-level position, CIO position, there's enough storage systems out there, Bill. You can check the box and say, does this storage hold data? Yes, right? There's enough PACS systems out there where you can say, does it have the features and functions that'll at least give my radiologist the tools that they need, or cardiologist or pathologist the tools they need to read? Yes. So that aside, if you kind of table set that, right, those assumptions, the difference in customer experience and customer support is where I would focus on, right? Like you said, the complement between the two companies. I would say, assuming there are storage vendors out there, assuming there are PAX vendors out there, what would I want to focus on as a CIO? What is going to be my experience when I do have an issue? Because issues will pop up. And when I get on the phone, am I just going to get a friendly voice and somebody that wants to help but can't help me? Am I going to get somebody which is going to just take this a lot further and say, I'll hold your hand, I'm going to pick you up, we're going to go all the way through the chain of workflow. If we identify an issue that maybe isn't even related to me, the person you're calling, me, the company you're calling, we're not going to just hand you off and say good luck and go here to this website. We want to take your hand and go that next step and get on the next call and really vet out finding the problem and resolving it. I think both of our companies, and Tom, feel free to hopefully add in, I think both of our companies take that next step up, Bill, which is customer support. If anything, I would say that would be why you should buy, and what you should measure on is not on features and bells and whistles and things like that. It's what is the customer support. That's your best product. And Pure and I think Sectra as well do a good job of delivering an amazing product in relation, right? Is our customer support is probably one of our best attributes that we deliver. So I don't know, Tom, if you agree or?
No, absolutely agree. I think from the CIO standpoint, I would look to a vendor who takes ownership. If Bill, there's a problem with our PAX and say it's running slow or it's not coming up the way it should, customers don't say, hey, I wonder if we're having a network problem or a storage problem. They say Sectra is down or we have a problem with Sectra. So we as Sectra have to take ownership. And oftentimes it could be, not necessarily anything to do with the PAX software. Maybe it is a network issue. But we as Sectra know that we've got to take ownership. We work in conjunction with the partners and the other participants, with the hospital and networking to make sure we identify a problem or whatever we need to do to figure it out. That's what we'll do to take care of business.
Yeah. Can I tell you the other thing which strikes me about your two companies is your business models are compatible as well, right? So with some of the PAX systems that you mentioned, and I'm not going to go into which ones, but it was forklift upgrades. It was big, massive upgrades. There was no concept of, hey, we're just going to keep upgrading the software and, we're going to get to version 22 and, this is the direction we're going. And Pure has that evergreen business model, sort of the same kind of concept, which is, we're coming into partnership with you. We're going to continue to give you the best solution that we can. A lot of it's software defined, and we're going to give you, better clinical workflow, better user experience, better administrative experience, all through software. And I think that's another area where I look at it and go, all right, I'm not looking at one company that's saying, hey, this is how we're defined, and another company that says, yeah, in 3 years, you're going to have to swap all this stuff out and start over again, which a lot of legacy healthcare companies have as sort of their core business model. And I think that's the thing I like about the two organizations here. And maybe it's about, the time you started and the shift that was going on. But I think that's an opportunity for somebody. Something I would look at as a CIO is more systems that function this way, that I get significant updates via software. I get non-disruptive updates. I get high reliability, high performance, one phone call. I mean, all those things are really appealing to me. I'm trying to reduce complexity and reduce costs. And I would think that model really works for your clients. I'm sort of setting you up with that question because as a CIO, I'm sort of trying to process why this partnership would work and why another one might not work.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, you definitely served up a softball for us, but that kind of goes back to what I think Tom and I are both saying, right? Is you can set aside all the normal metrics of looking at product, and if you kind of think enterprise, buy enterprise, but kind of shop as if you're a personal consumer, you're going to think about things a little bit differently, right, Bill? Like if you go in and you want to purchase something for yourself, then you may say, if it's at an enterprise scale, I want that same experience at the enterprise, right? So both of our companies allow you to say, at the end of the day, who's going to take care of me? I don't know what the future is going to look like because nobody's got a crystal ball. But if there are different initiatives coming down that we have to pivot to as a healthcare organization, and how can we pivot and respond to those quickly, right? Do we have the right technology systems in place today? If not, how can we implement them? Pure and Sectra, vendors like us in the market, will allow you to kind of safely have the building blocks to plan for and pivot to handling the unpredictable, right? Like, we don't know what the future is going to throw at us. We don't know if we're going to buy another hospital. If we do that, what does that mean from our prior purchasing behaviors, right? Did we buy the right solution? If people are looking to absolve some of those fears, and did we buy the right thing? And is it something I would buy myself? If you can kind of package all that up in a good user experience, I think that's probably arguably what both of our companies have done great. And it helps protect, it helps protect your role, your position, and the fundamental things that your organization is trying to focus on, which is patient care.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tom. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, no, just echo that. The one thing, you don't know everything that's going to happen in the future, but there's one thing you could probably bank on, is that the storage needs will continue to grow. There's going to be more data coming from radiology. Digital pathology is about 8 to 10 times the volume of what radiology is doing. So storage is going to do nothing but grow over the next years, and having a solution that can grow with it without having to do these forklift upgrades, without having to rebuy storage, I think is just a smart way to operate. And I can't imagine any healthcare system not wanting to move to a solution like Pure that can grow with their needs. So.
Tom, last question on PACS. I'm just curious, with COVID, we had a lot of work from home type scenarios. Did you have clinicians going into their homes, radiologists, cardiologists, trying to read images from their home? And, how did that go?
Yeah, so our radiologists really, for instance, at University Hospitals in Cleveland, I think the majority of these radiologists have setups at home already. So even before COVID-19, they were reading. But certainly COVID-19 increased the usage from home. And the nice thing is, as long as they had decent bandwidth, which most of the radiologists have through cable modem or whatever, they were able to operate fairly well through the whole experience. They've asked for additional collaboration tools to make it easier, where they can share screens, and we have those tools available. But yeah, they were able to operate fine. And then we track the usage, and certainly pre-COVID-19, there's a definite dip, but volume now is beginning to increase over the last month or two, and hopefully going to return back to what pre-COVID-19 volume was fairly soon. But they operate fairly well from home, these guys. So
that's fantastic. And next week we're actually going to do a show on SD-WAN and talk about accelerating those connections to the home, because that's another thing that came up an awful lot in our field reports we did with health systems, is just the challenge. We've moved people into these homes. We never managed those home networks before, and it's it's just a whole new thing for us. So, hey guys, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Stay safe. That's all for this week. Don't forget to sign up for Clip Notes, send an email, hit the website. We want to help you and make your health system more productive. Special thanks to our sponsors, VMware, Starbridge Advisors, Galen Healthcare, HealthLyrics, Sirius Healthcare, ProTalent Advisors, and our newest sponsor, Health Next. And you will hear more about them in the coming weeks. And we thank them for choosing to invest in developing the next generation of health leaders. This show is a production of This Week in Health IT. For more great content, you check out our website at thisweekinhealthit.com or our YouTube channel. If you want to support the show, best way to do that, share it with a peer, send an email, let them know that you are getting value out of the show. Say another way you can support the show, utilize our sponsors. They're all great companies. I am really excited at the group of sponsors that has come on board with thisweekinhealthit.com, and we appreciate them helping us to develop this great content. Please check back as we are going to continue to drop shows. Remember, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.